Hey everyone, it's Mike Eilon with Greek University. Welcome to lucky episode number 13 of Fraternity Foodie, and we call it Fraternity Foodie because there is nothing like food that brings people together. So we are going to tackle some really tough conversations in all of these interviews, and we're also going to get the inside scoop on where our guests like to eat and what we should be ordering when we get there. So today we are going to be welcoming Caren DeCesaris, a speaker who focuses on groups of young women, usually ages 15 through 25, as well as she's also the founder of the TheSoulSpeakCo company, where she runs coaching programs and events to create the change that we want to see in ourselves and also the world around us. So welcome, Caren.
Hello. I'm so glad that this is the lucky day. I had no
is.
idea.
You are lucky number 13.
Lucky number 13.
You're lucky number
That's
13.
so interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
And my birthday's tomorrow, so isn't that that's kind of funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So, Caren, I wanted to find out a little bit more about you. So, we met, of course, at a recent conference and struck up a conversation, which I thought was amazing. I love the work that you're doing. So now I want to tell the audience about it. You started with speaking and workshops for young women based on certain themes I've noticed. It's self-compassion, it's vulnerability, and also connectivity. So why did you choose these particular themes?
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Yes, we just met not that long ago, it seems like, and it was during the luncheon and we didn't even eat. Neither of us even ate. We just sat there talking. So thank you so much. But yes, you are right. Those themes, they're all just words, right? They're all just kind of words that help describe things to different people, and they can connect with those words like connection or compassion or judgment, and all of those words bring up something for people, right? So when it comes down to it, what I've really realized is I talk about self-awareness. That's what I talk about. And that's what I want to share with people and help bring into their lives and help bring into their hearts, is just self-awareness. And that stretches into all of those other areas of compassion and connection. And I think that by hitting on those other topics, it brings that awareness into the lives of those people and then into the lives of people just as a whole, recognizing that we're all the same and we're all beautifully broken, and that makes us beautifully perfect. And even those are very girly words, I mean, they're just true words, right? Like, we're beautifully broken, and I don't know how else to say it. I actually heard someone say that one time in a yoga class I was taking, and I loved it. I was like, there's no better way. There's no better way to say it. So that's why I talk about those different assets, those different, what's the word I'm trying to think of? I can't think of it. Those different areas of everything. But yeah, because they all just break up in a different little tiny pieces of self-awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautifully broken definitely resonates with me as well. I definitely feel like we're all kind of in that category. We have to figure out what is broken and how we're working on that. So it definitely resonates with me as well. And I see that you focus on embracing your own struggles. I think we've all kind of been there, knowing that you're not alone in this. And also you focus on deep connections, which has a lot of meaning to me, I think, within fraternity and sorority. I was speaking to a group of sorority women at a very large university about a month ago. And what they were saying to me was that their recruitment events sometimes feels awkward to them. They also mentioned that they didn't reach their recruitment goals for the year. And I've seen so many of these women's recruitment videos that stress things like glitter. I've even seen speedboats. And I'm not really sure how frequently that really makes an appearance, either one of those things, in their normal, ordinary lives. So going forward, we talked about the importance of being vulnerable and having some real conversations with these potential new members, and stuff that goes beyond just the superficial conversation, but really, really deep conversations and deep connections. So my question is, why is that a struggle to get real conversations on college campuses instead of what normally is happening, which is these superficial conversations? Why is that so hard?
Yeah. So first of all, I think the glitter probably does come up. I don't know about the boats, but I'm sure there's a lot of glitter and cuteness. But just as separating from fraternities and sororities for a second too, just as a human race, like everyone has a mask of some sort. And when we come into this world, when we're born, we're all just these babies, like, like having fun. We're basically like dogs, right? We just are carefree. And then as we grow up, we start to learn. We learn these things from our environments, from the people who are raising us, who have also learned from their environments. And we just get all of these. I don't think of them as anything, but right now I'm thinking of them as stickers on us, right? And then as we get older, as we grow up, we start to remove those stickers as we start to notice them. Like, hello, I'm acting this way because I'm feeling this way. That's a sticker. And then you start to learn about it and remove it. So same with, especially in sororities and fraternities, but we're talking about sororities here. It's a huge room full of women, right? And usually when you get that, you get a lot of comparison, judgment. There's a lot of contrast. Everyone's different, but everyone wants to fit into this mold. And I think that mold is, just from my perspective, is just seeming like everything is okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I really like to embrace my own struggles and things I've been through, because I don't know why I do it, to be honest. I know that if I didn't, then I wouldn't feel like myself. Like, this is my life's purpose for whatever reason. And so I think it's very important that we begin to, people who are willing to share those struggles, like, you do too. Mm-hmm. It's really important for us to share those, because it breaks those layers, it breaks those masks for others, and it allows them to see that, hey, it's okay. We're very similar, actually. And I think that just the fact that everyone has those masks on in that setting, in a sorority setting, there's no barriers to break. It's just mask against mask. And when it comes down to it, everyone wants the same thing and everyone's doing the same things. They're comparing themselves to each other and just trying to be this something. And I don't think it's all the time, because it's also a beautiful setting to just be yourself and have fun. And, connecting with groups of women is beautiful, because you do have that space just to be your womanly self and be funny and silly. But there is that other side of it when it comes to social media and photos and whatever's, it's just there. It's just there. So it's really just the fact that everyone has this mask, and until someone puts a crack in it, like shatters it with a baseball bat, then all of the other masks, it's a ripple effect. All the other masks start to shatter and open up, and yeah.
Yeah, that's the secret of a good speaker, is when you can share something of yourself, and it might not be the best look. You might be sharing some deep secret. People identify with that stuff. And so when you engage with them and you're really genuine and you talk about the things that you've struggled with in your life, people just identify with that no matter what they're going through in their lives. And it just makes people kind of want to embrace you as a person. And it makes you really engaging as a speaker. So I think that you're absolutely right. I share those same struggles with my audiences. And I think that's what makes me real. It's what makes me approachable. And everybody identifies with that story, whether it be me not having any friends my first semester in college. And everyone's like, oh, I know that feeling, and eating by yourself and how like horrible that feeling is. So we've all been there. And when you share that, I think on a stage, people really like you and they say, you know what, this guy gets it. And I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. It gives them a space to connect with themselves.
Totally. 100%. I noticed that one of your talks is on the relationship between food and your body. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about that. There are certainly many college students out there, maybe some listening right now, that are dealing with eating disorders and also chronic illness. So what can students learn from this particular presentation?
So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, probably because you read about it, but
Yeah.
I did myself. I still have a chronic illness, ulcerative colitis, which is basically like Crohn's disease. A lot of people don't know what it is. Um, in summary, my whole colon and insides, it's all messed up and it's all ulcered and all of this crazy stuff. But with that has come so much hospital time and just a lot with that came. And then combined with my history of a kind of not so good relationship to my body, and I love food. I've been cooking since like the age of 5th grade, whatever that is, 11. I've just been cooking deluxe meals. So I love food, but connecting my body and the love for food and overindulging, and then it grew into binge eating, and then along with my drinking habits that started when I was in my early 20s, and the ulcerative colitis and all of this crazy stuff, it just equaled out to this thing that ended up basically being bulimia. And I realized I didn't want to label it because I'm not the bulimia or bulimia. I'm not the ulcerative colitis. I'm not whatever. I have power over all of it. And so being in that cycle of that terrible cycle of eating and, feeling ashamed, all this stuff. I mean, I can go into it another time, but being in that cycle and then also realizing that it's not me, I'm not attached to it, and kind of I'm still going through it in ways. For example, I just recorded a podcast actually about this, but I moved across the country about 5 months ago, and I'm in a new place where I'm living on my own for the first time, and I didn't know anyone here coming here. And it's really brought up those old habits of eating, of overindulging, because that's one of my masks. I'll just stuff the food down when I don't know what to do, and it's coming up again. So I know I'm kind of rambling here, but it's all of these different aspects. So not identifying with, what your emotions are, what's happening in your life, not making that mean anything about you. And then also forgiving yourself when it comes up. So constantly forgiving, constantly choosing again. So there's so many, pieces around it, but really the biggest thing that I've seen people take away from that talk is just being able to look within themselves and forgive themselves. And that when you can forgive yourself, then it trickles down into so many different areas of your life. And we were talking yesterday, I've seen people come to this who don't even have, oh, I'm so sorry, my computer just made a big notification, but that don't even have an issue with food, but maybe it's alcohol, and it's all the same. It's all the same. And forgiveness is really just the key to everything. So that's the biggest takeaway from that.
I love that message. It's so important, the work that you're doing. I know there's a lot of students, whether it be with food or with alcohol, like you mentioned, where it's really all the same stuff. So that's really important work, and I love that you're doing it. I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
When I speak to students, a lot of times I hear them say stuff like, well, I'm really unlucky. Or they might say stuff like, why does this always happen to me? But in reality, your other talk, I noticed that speaks about the importance of learning from these experiences when bad things happen to us in our lives. And we can use all of these different experiences that we have. So how can we change our perspective when negative things happen in our lives?
It's really, like I said, forgiveness is a huge thing, but stepping back from where you are. And I think the biggest question is how is this for me? If you can step out of the situation and get into the thought process of how is this for me? What is this giving me? And I don't want to even take all the credit on that. When I was about 20, I somehow had this life coach come into my life. And that was the biggest lesson that she shared with me was, how is this for you? How is everything is happening for you in life? And it's so true because, you get stuck into that tunnel of, well, this and that. And I'm in that tunnel sometimes. And you just have to step away from it and then start to look at the things that you do have and the things that you are getting from this. Something I bring up, and this is, a heavy topic, but I'll bring up to students my DUIs. I've had two in my life, and probably people are looking at me, hating me right now, because I know it's such a terrible, terrible thing. It's really bad. And it's something that I'm thankful that I was okay and no one else was hurt during those instances. And, this was my early 20s, right? One before 21 and one at 21. And I'm so thankful that no one was hurt. But I needed those. I needed those to wake myself up. They needed to wake me up. I mean, I don't know what else. I could have died. Someone else could have, who knows? But luckily it happened in that way where just no one got hurt. Anyway, I mean, how do you forgive yourself for that, right? Like how do you move on from that? I was really taught, a big thing that I've learned about my upbringing and what I was surrounded with, what I learned as a human is that I need to keep punishing myself for, if I do something wrong, I just need to keep punishing myself internally. And that's a thing that we all do. It's so common. We just don't forgive ourselves. And something like that, like that's a huge example, 2 DUIs. How do you ever forgive yourself? Like automatically, even now I'm thinking, I'm not supposed to. I'm not. But you know what? When it comes down to it, we're human. And how was that for me? Oh God, it woke me up in so many different ways. And that's a whole different conversation. But it's just, it's just that. It's just, it comes down to forgiving yourself and moving forward and being productive. And I will add, there's a difference between moving forward and forgiving yourself and doing the same thing over and over, because when you know that you have those hints, you need to take them. You need to take those hints and move forward in a productive way. But you also have to be easy on yourself, because you do what you know, and you'll know better, or you do better when you know better, and you just are where you are.
Sure.
It's all about that.
Yeah, we all make mistakes. And I love that you share these stories freely, because there's so much to learn from it, especially I think college students as well. There's so many mistakes. I've made so many mistakes in college, in business. So I'm certainly not exempt from that. And I love that you've learned to forgive yourself and then to spread that message to others, because I think you're right. Sometimes people can't help but just to punish themselves over and over and over again. And that prevents them from moving on with their lives and doing great things, because I'm sure God put them here on this earth for some reason, that they have a reason to be here. And all of these things happen for a reason, to teach them something, to use that now in some positive way, right? And I think, that's the question, is how do we use all these experiences that we've had and somehow position that in such a way that the students themselves can learn something from it and relate to it.
Yeah. And I will say too, there's that whole kind of dynamic of, everything happens for a reason. Some people hate that. They don't believe it at all. And they think that you create your reality. You create what happens in your life, which is true. You create it. And there's a good middle that you can find with that, is knowing that, hey, it was created, but hey, do you need to still beat yourself in the head for it? Like, what can you do to move forward? It's more so about the it's right. Not about the act. And it is about the act, but it's really about the action afterwards, after the act.
Very cool. Now, I know you have this mobile 2.5-hour event that you do for sorority chapters. You call it the I Am, We Are event. So I was curious if you can kind of describe that to the audience a little bit and explain how this event creates closer connections between sisters. How does this release the judgment that we were talking about earlier between sisters? Because I do feel that we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people. I think about my Instagram feed every day. We're constantly comparing ourselves to somebody else's best day on Instagram. And to me, when I think about that, it's such a depressing thing. And so no wonder why we have so much in terms of depression and anxiety and all of these things, because we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people. So what is it about your I Am We Are event that helps with all of this?
Yeah. So, and I think you bring up really true and real topics. I think that's really, really relevant, especially just Instagram. It's like, it's inevitable. I mean, unless you don't have it. And actually, I have I have a brochure hanging up in my bulletin board. So that's the brochure.
Nice.
I am. We are. But yeah, so it's 2.5 hour event. It's all about connection. And like you said in the beginning, I started off doing events and workshops and speaking to mostly groups of young women for the last 2 years. And over those 2 years, I started working more so with sororities. And I'm originally from the Chicago area. So I was working with a lot of Chicago schools. But I just realized, all right, this is the place I want to start with this, because, you know, as speakers, we want to get our message out to everyone, but we need to start somewhere. And just these women are the people who I think are who are going to be open to these concepts and open to doing these type of activities. And then also really, it's really useful in these settings. So what the experience is I like to kind of call it like a mix of a speaking experience and then also Lollapalooza. So if you don't know what that is, it's the big concert in Chicago, a big cool experience, and a lot of just cuteness and fun during it. But it's really, really something unique that I haven't really seen much of. And like I said, self-awareness is the key to everything. So it really explores that, but it more so explores showing and bringing up how we are all the same, and that connects us, that we are all the same, and we all think these same crazy thoughts and all have these same crazy judgments and comparisons. So it allows for each young woman to dive into what her own judgments, comparisons towards herself and towards others are, and gives her space to learn about those and to think about those. And then also gives them all space to share that with each other. So the run through of the event is usually we'll begin with some journaling. So I'm giving these women some space to really reflect on these hard questions that are not asked and that they don't think about, that humans just don't think about. And that, you know, in our days, we have so much we're doing, and we don't give ourselves always the time to just be with ourselves and be with ourselves, talk to ourselves on these deep ways, because it's scary. It's scary when you start looking at these fears and these comparisons and these not so beautiful things about yourself. But the cool thing is when you start to do that, it's like jelly. You're going through the jelly and it's kind of gross and you don't like it and it's scary. And then you get out and then it's a beautiful garden, because you have to go through that jelly to get to that garden. And it's just, you have to think of it that way. So we'll start off with that journaling type aspect. And then usually I will speak to them on a couple different topics of self-awareness and body and relationship to food and connection. And then we'll do some type of body connection, depending on the space, depending on the group size. I've had 10 women and I've had 100. So it just depends where it's held. But we'll do a meditation and yoga session during that. And then we will also at the end do a group breakout. So depending on the size, again, just depends what we do. But that has something to do with showing and bringing up how we are all the same. And it's been such a beautiful, beautiful event, because I've just seen so many beautiful tears shed and so many beautiful words shared and so many beautiful breakthroughs. And it's really, really cool. And it's a really, really unique way of these sisters connecting, and these women just in general connecting, because they could bring it to, you know, other people, not just in the sorority and fraternity community. They'll spread it out to the world. And by them being more lit up themselves, they're just going to light up the world. So that's really the focus of it.
Sounds like an incredible event. I know there's a lot of sororities listening now saying, hey, that sounds like something our chapter would love to do. Maybe even some national sororities, maybe bringing that to a convention in some way. So that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's all on the website. So we can share the website and everything and all of that, the links. It's all on there.
That sounds awesome. So I know that life hasn't always been easy for you. It certainly has not been a straight line for me either. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke at the University of New Haven in Connecticut, and we were talking about the path to success. And a lot of students just think it's a straight line, that you just end up exactly where you were supposed to be. You're successful, and you must have known exactly where you're going to be going, and everything was perfect. Everything was a straight line. That couldn't be further from the truth. There was a whole series of wrong turns that ultimately you find what that right path is, but you have to make a whole bunch of wrong turns in order to figure that out. And I think it's just about learning, over time what you're supposed to be doing and what is the right path for you. So I guess, what can college students learn from people like you and I who have been out there, have had some success, but it hasn't always been a straight path? What can college students learn from that?
They could learn a lot. And again, Instagram, I mean, that's just like the front and center of everyone's lives. They don't see the backgrounds. And I mean, I'm still going through all of the wrong turns. I am. And it's so hilarious because it's just, the only difference is that I see that now. I see what it's opening up for me and what things are teaching me. And so that's a really big key for college students to learn, is just to be open to experiences and open to what is in your life, because there is no end game. Even where you and I are right now, that's not our end game. We're still going. We don't know what's coming tomorrow. We don't know what's coming in a year. We don't know what's coming in 10 years. We could be chefs. We could be living in a tent in Korea. Who knows, But it's just being open to those things and following those lights, what lights you up, and following that, and knowing that not everything is perfect on that journey, because sometimes you just have to do things to get to where you want to be. But remember that what you're doing it's teaching you something. So it's not always going to be perfect, and life is not perfect. And even people who look like they have perfect lives, it's not. We're all the same. The same. And just remembering that.
100%. You have to be open to new experiences. You're totally right about Instagram. People portray the best versions of themselves. I know a lot of these people personally, and I know that they're struggling. Their Instagram accounts don't reflect that at all, even though I know that their life is in some major turmoil right now. So, a lot of people need to know that there is, another side that's not necessarily being displayed on Instagram. So all of this is just really, really great stuff. So what's the next step for the Soul Speak company? What are you most looking forward to over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, years? What's the future?
Yeah, so I have a lot to look forward to. I'm still kind of in the phase of, this is just the beginning of it. I really just developed this platform. So I've been doing this stuff for quite some time, and I decided I wanted a platform to put it all underneath, because I have a lot of other plans in the future of what I want to be doing. And I was like, all right, I just need to make a platform for it. So I, made my LLC, did all the good stuff, and have it now. And yay. So I've branded the I Am We Are event, and I'm working to build that. And what I really want to do, I'm looking for one sorority to start with, where I could take it and make it a chapter tour. And this is going to be the first sorority that has this event as the tour version. So I've been talking to a couple different sororities and chapters, and so I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. It's going to be a really, really cool thing. And I'm also looking forward to seeing where my podcast goes, because I'm on episode 8. So it's been really, really fun. And I've had some cool guests, which you are going to be one of them. And so that's just some of the stuff.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. I think the podcast is great nowadays with technology. It's so easy to do. And it kind of chronicles the growth of your organization and shows people, hey, this isn't a straight line. You know, we basically started with what we had and it's grown. And this is our documenting it all along the way. So that way, when you have
Yeah.
tremendous success, let's say 5 years from now, 10 years from now, people can go back and look at your podcast and be like, huh, Caren started here and then ended up huge, right? So I think it's a great way
Yeah.
to kind of document that process and to show people that it really is a process, that it's not a straight line. You just go forward, pointing in the direction that you think you want to go. And then maybe we'll look at it in 10 years from now and go, wow, this is where she got her start. Amazing.
Yeah. I will say too, a big thing with that is momentum.
Yeah.
So you just have to start doing whatever, because if you don't start, then it's never going to go. So just like with a podcast, you know, if you stopped, if you kind of were relaxed with it and you did one next month, and then it's just not going to work out because you're not going to be in it. So if you do one once a week, and then you don't know what's going to grow from there. It's just, anyone can do whatever they want to do. They just have to start and just do something. And the way I always picture it is like a snowball. So you just have to make that first roll, and then it'll keep rolling. If you keep rolling it, it'll get bigger and bigger. And it's all about patience. And I am still learning patience every day.
Yeah. Better done than perfect is the way that I like to see it. I used to be a website designer in a former life, and I knew this great entrepreneur out there. He asked me to design a website, and I said, sure, I'd be happy to do that for you, for his business. And he just could never get a product out. It was always, no, it has to be perfect. It has to be perfect. And literally, I'm still waiting for him to get all of the stuff together. And that was like 20 years ago. And I just think about what could have been for his business if he just would have taken that first step. My website for Greek University and my website for the other entrepreneurial companies that I've had, they've changed. They've morphed over time so much. They don't look anything like they used to when it first launched. But
Yeah.
I got started, and you just have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then over time, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah, it's very true. I used to work for a technology company that makes business simulations. Actually, some of these students might have used them, but they're called Capsum. They're a really cool company. And so I had a pretty close relationship with the president, actually, because of what I was doing in the company. And he had just the smartest wisdom, because, you know, he didn't care. He didn't care if something looked stupid or embarrassing. He just, you know, said, put it out, and we'll get feedback. And it's all about feedback and just starting. And I think technology is the best way to learn all of that stuff, because even Apple, you know, if Apple were to not start because they didn't already have the iPhone 10 back in whenever they started, then they would never be here.
Yeah. Yeah, I still can't forget, there's a 1996 magazine cover out there talking about the end of Apple. And I just laugh at that because now obviously they're the biggest company in the globe. So it's just about persistence. It's just, you know, keep at it, follow wherever life leads you. And Apple proves that, hey, we can make it even when people think that the ride is over. Far from true in Apple's case. So Caren, what do you think of AFLV Central?
I loved it. That was my first big Greek conference, and I loved it. It was a perfect opportunity because I'm originally from, like I said, the Chicago area, but Northwest Indiana. So I had a friend in Indianapolis, and I got to stay with her, and it was a really nice little getaway. But I loved the conference. There were so many people, not only just students, but volunteers and speakers and all these different people to connect with. And I did 2 breakout sessions, and I loved it because there was such a variety, not just females, but also males, fraternity brothers that came. And I just loved hearing the feedback that they had. And it was just really great. It was great connecting with that energy, and it was a tiring weekend, that's for sure. But it was really rewarding, and it was really, really great.
Yeah. Now, you never went Greek at college, correct?
No, because I did not have sororities at my school that I went to. When I was in school, I went to Calumet, which is now Purdue Northwest.
Right.
Now they do have sorority, but they did not when I was there.
You know, it's never too late. You know? I'm just throwing it out there. It's never too late. I'm just saying, as an alumnus, you can make this happen.
I keep hearing that. So we'll see.
Be open to it. I'm just saying, just be open to it.
I'm not closed.
Very cool. So we talked about eating before, and we love eating great food at Fraternity Foodie, let me tell you. So I know you've only been in North Carolina for a short amount of time, but my guess is you've been scoping out some really good restaurants in town. So if we end up in your area of North Carolina, what's your favorite thing to eat so far, and where should we go to get it?
I'm laughing because, well, I love food, but the place I recommend is just going to be like a smoothie place, but it's more than a smoothie place. Okay. It's delicious. I found this place on Instagram actually before I moved here. And I was like, I need to go to that place because they make really, really thick. You guys have to look it up. It's called Juice Keys. So juice and then key, like putting a key in your door. It's all one word.
Okay.
Juice Keys. And they have a couple locations. But oh my gosh, like they make these smoothie bowls that are basically like ice cream, and they're so big and they're so thick. Like they have this key lime pie one, and it's so delicious, and it just has the best toppings, and they have like just the thickest, most delicious smoothies. So like this is where I would recommend because it is so good. And a lot of people don't know about it, which I'm very surprised about.
Yeah, I've never heard about it, but after this recommendation, I'm going to go try it. So I'm just letting you know. They're going to get another customer out of it.
You should.
All right. So where can our audience go to learn more about you and also to learn more about the SoulSpeak company?
So you can go to Instagram and search my name. So just my name is a hard name to say. Or spell and all of that good stuff. So just type in my name. But on Instagram, my name is Caren DeCesaris. That won't help you. Just look up my name. And you can just go to my website, TheSoulSpeakCo.com, TheSoulSpeakCo, and that's speak as in la 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 la, speaking. And that's where you can find information on what I talk about and the I Am We Are event that we just spoke about. And you could find links to my podcast there. I'm on Facebook. You can connect with me on there. I'm always sharing some good stuff. And but more so Instagram. I love to hear from people. So message me and reach out, and yeah.
That sounds great. And Caren spells her name Caren. Her last name is spelled Decesaris. And yes, even I had trouble pronouncing it originally, but
it's Italian.
I know. But eventually I got it. So we eventually got to where we wanted to go. It just takes a little bit of practice. That's all. No big deal.
Well, that's why my website is called TheSoulSpeakCo, not Caren DeCesaris, because that just got way too hard to tell people.
It's too hard. So, Caren, I love the work that you're doing with young women around the country. And of course, I wish you all the best in terms of creating positive change, both personally for these women, but also I think in the communities all over the country. I certainly believe that this is going to have a big impact. I can't wait to see where you go. So I certainly hope that we stay in touch. And of course, if there's ever anything that I can do to help you, you know that I'm always going to be there for you. So I just love it. I love everything that you're doing. Keep up the great work. And I just can't wait to see the next step.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Of course, we'll stay in touch. Of course. And I love what you are doing too. And I love hearing about your own journey too. So I can't wait to have you on my podcast.
That's right.
I'll listen to it.
That's right. I'm going to be on your podcast next week. So certainly happy to return the favor. That's going to be really exciting. And I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. So that's very, very cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Caren. Thank you to our audience for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you on an upcoming edition of Fraternity Foodie. Bye for now.